Hey, this is MORTIIS, and you're listening to Heavy Demons.
So, dear Mortis, what shall the fans find on Spirit of Rebellion compared with On den som gjorde upprör?
Oh, that just straight to the point, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a re-recording of the whole thing with a lot of additional music, melodies, rhythms, percussion, sounds, and it's about like 15 minutes longer than the original. Because when I sat down and decided to re-record the whole thing, I wasn't at that point. It was only supposed to be for a live performance at the Coleman Industry Festival in 2017. And the more I started reworking that music, the more sort of new music started sort of popping up in my head, and I was hearing all these melodies and all these rhythms and all that stuff that wasn't really there on the original recording. And I quickly realized that I wasn't really re-recording the album. I was actually expanding and reinventing the whole record. So that's kind of going to be the experience. It's going to be there's going to be a whole bunch of like recognizable parts there from the original, but expanded upon and sort of made more massive and big and just larger sounding, more epic, I suppose you could say. Kind of like the director's cut of a movie. It's really kind of a shit metaphor, but I mean, I think it kind of works to describe it in that way. So, I mean, I'm fucking totally happy with it. I think it's the best thing I've done in the sort of era one sense of the kind of music that I've done. But at the end of the day, it's down to the listener to decide, how they feel about it. But I'm really fucking proud of it, and I'm very excited about it.
You have always been a huge fan of the physical format of the albums, being a collector yourself.
Yeah.
Can you please describe us the formats in which the album will be available?
Well, it's going to be the same ones everyone else is doing right now. It's going to be the vinyl, obviously, because that's still a popular format now, and CD, which is much less popular. Yeah. And all the different sort of digital, streaming and all the iTunes to download, all that stuff. And I guess the most interesting thing for a lot of collector types would be the vinyl, and it's been pressed at the moment. It's being pressed in 4 different vinyl colors. One being the sort of what we're calling the Golden Dawn. It's a bit of a Crowley reference, which is like a gold and black splatter. That one sold out on pre-orders. Then there's the Purple Sky, which is actually a reference to my Fata Morgana side project from the mid-90s, which had a song of the same title. I thought it was kind of interesting to just call it that because it's a purple vinyl, of course. The purple one, I think, is also sold out on pre-orders or just about to be sold out, so people might want to check that out if they're into the more limited stuff. It might still be available, I'm not sure. Then there's the black one, which is just regular black, which I think everybody should do regular black, because we shouldn't get lost in the whole like 50 million different colors and then suddenly there's no black. Black vinyl is fucking traditional and it's kind of where everything started, so I think we should never forget that. And then there's a silver vinyl as well, which is not available from the record label. It's actually only for the distributor, Plastic Head. So I don't exactly know what countries that will be available in, because it'll just be like in stores, and I think it'll be on the Plastic Head mail order site, I'm presuming. I might get some into my web store later on. I'm not sure about that, but I'll always do these announcements for whatever we get in anyway, so we'll see. So, so there's these 4 different ones, so we'll see how that does.
You recently released the video of Visions of an Ancient Future. Will there be a sequel to it?
Yeah, we I just returned from Finland like maybe 2 weeks ago, and we filmed I suppose you could call it a sequel. I mean, it has the exact same atmosphere, the same kind of horror, classic horror type movie kind of vibe to it. Same director, same sort of film crew, all the same people. So it's got a lot of the same vibes all across the board, So yeah, for sure. Part 2, I guess, in a month or so. They're editing now, so I'm kind of waiting around for getting the first sort of draft of the video so I can tell them to do everything over again.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do that. But I like to have a hand in the game of everything that's being done. So I can make my comments and make sure that I'm totally happy with it.
Spirit of Rebellion is recorded using nowadays technology, let's say. Have you ever thought about recording something new using the vintage instruments you used on the Era 1 albums?
Yeah, okay. So about the Roland keyboard, I don't know how vintage an old Roland JV30 really is. I think it was put on the market in 1992.
Yeah.
So maybe in 10 or 15 years, it might be considered vintage. But I mean, at the time when I bought it, it was just kind of like a low-entry, affordable keyboard. I thought the sounds on it were awesome, but apparently they were cheesy, according to some people. But I think that's kind of what created that Dungeon Synth sound ages and ages later, anyway. But who knew? But to me, proper vintage instruments would be from the 70s, like the Moogs and the ARPs and your Mellotrons and that stuff. But and actually, interestingly enough, on Spirit of Rebellion, I use samplers a lot, where I kind of sample real instruments, or I use libraries of actual instruments being played. So in that sense, Spirit of Rebellion is way more true to the vintage vibe than anything that was actually made in the 90s was, because that was all digital, believe it or not. For example, I mean, all the choirs and all the voices you hear on Spirit of Rebellion, that's all Mellotron, sampled. So, I mean, there in itself, you got like a 60s and 70s kind of instrument, which is based upon tape reels and shit like that. So, to answer the question, I guess I already did go to the vintage instruments kind of for the first time when it comes to Era 1, if that makes any sense.
Talking about the Era 1 recordings, are you going to do something new, or are you going to reinterpret something from the past?
Hopefully I'll just do both.
Yeah.
I would like to reinterpret more stuff, because I thought that was a great experience. It was very interesting for me to go back and sort of dissect old material and excuse me, and recreate it, with modern ideas, I guess, or like at least with reinterpret it in using my musical mind as it is today, as opposed to the way it was 25 years ago, which was much more simple.
Yeah.
I'm not a big musical genius now by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I'm pretty simple still, but I have more ideas now, and I also have an idea of how to get stuff done in a way I didn't know how to do before. You learn a few things in 25 years.
Yeah.
So that, in that sense, it's very interesting for me to go back and reinterpret stuff. But of course, also it's I have some stuff that's created from scratch that I'm working on now and then when I have the time. Kind of in the spirit of what I'm doing right now. But I mean, who knows how it's going to end up? I have a tendency to start something, put it aside, and then bring it back out 2 years later when my mindset is completely different, and I'll just complete it and it'll sound different. So we'll see. I mean, I've never done projects where I'll start something in January and it's done in March. You know what I mean? It's it takes forever with me. That's why I have so many things going on at the same time. A lot of half-finished stuff. But I mean, yeah, it would be kind of fun to do some sort of Era 1-ish material from scratch, and I'm kind of doing it. We'll just see how it ends up.
Personally, I want to thank you for the kind words you spent on my project, Machinaceli, which I've been sending you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was great, man. Yeah.
And I first sent you something I remember back in 1998, and that was a demo tape. Oddly, nowadays, tapes seem to have regained popularity. Which are your thoughts about this?
I think that's cool. Tapes, they sound pretty interesting. I mean, they're analog, so they have that warmth. And but I think probably the actual reason they're back in sort of underground popularity is because they're probably fairly cheap and they're easy to make, and you can duplicate them at home. So it's got more heart and soul than like a blank CDR with like someone writing with a fucking black marker on it, like demo something, which is fucking lame. That's what everybody was doing in the 90s, and it was just the lamest, fucking most boring thing, like a silver disc with writing on it. Who fucking cares? So tapes have. I mean, this is my personal take on it. Anyway, I mean, tapes have personality, a bit like vinyl, but not that cool, but kind of undergroundish. It's got that spirit. So I can see that, and I don't even know outside of the Dungeon Synth scene if tapes are back, because I haven't really checked out any other scenes in terms of tapes. But with Dungeon Synth, it seems to be really popular. And you go on any of those Bandcamp sites, and they always have like tapes. They're very limited though for some reason. I think they should make more of them. Don't make fucking 20 tapes. It's gonna sell out in like an hour. You know what I mean? Okay. So, but yeah, I like them. They're cool. From my childhood, that was the first thing I ever bought. Were tapes of Wasp and fucking AC/DC and Kiss. So I got a nostalgic attachment to it as well.
Yeah. Do you miss playing and recording with the band? Shall we expect something new in the future?
The best times I had with the band were on stage. That was because it was a pretty sort of active, almost violent show towards the end. We got very heavy and angry live, and that was always fun. You burn off like 2,500 calories in 1 hour. Yeah. Which is pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna miss that for as long as we're not together. I'm gonna be missing that, and I mean, I want to, and I hope to be able to get back together with those guys. I mean, at some point in the future. God knows when. But I mean, I think like almost every day I think about it, like it would be so great to get back and do it. But honestly, I don't know when it's going to happen. I know those guys are busy doing their own stuff and living their own lives now, so I know they want to do it as well, but it's going to have to work out for everybody. So right now it's not the right time.
Yeah. And which final message and greeting would you send out to the Italian fans of MORTIIS, of any era?
It's just the usual. Thanks for sticking around for so long. The same old cliche answers. Hopefully I can go back to Italy and do more shows. I only did one show actually with this sort of Spirit of Rebellion set, and that was like last summer.
Yeah.
When somebody stole my fucking outfit.
Oh my goodness, I remember. That was like 1 year ago.
It pissed me off so bad. It's not the Italian people's fault. It's just one asshole, that decided to fucking steal it.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? It happened. I didn't see it until the next day. You know what I mean? So. Shit happens. I mean, it could have happened in any other country too. I mean, we've had shit stolen in other countries too. So it's nothing to do with Italy. That's just where it happened. So, but everything's good. I mean, I had another one made, and it was even better. So, in a sense, it was a good thing because it forced me to make a new outfit, which actually, like I said, looks even better. So, it ended quite well.
Yeah. Definitely, it helped you somehow.
It did. It was a kick in the ass. Like the first outfit was awesome. It's those guys over in the States. They're called Sick, and they design for a lot of bands. So I mean, they're getting really fucking good at what they do. And I've had like 3 outfits made with those guys now, and I'll definitely make more. Yeah. And it gets better every time. There's a new one. There's a 3rd outfit that I had made recently. That's going to be in the video. So it's very cool. It's getting pretty outrageous looking now.